So a little review of my introduction today. It's the month of Elul. The month of Elul is about an accounting of our soul. And now I'm going to expand a little bit on this idea that the king is in the field. So this is a Hasidic teaching, as I mentioned, by Shneur Zalman of Liadi. And he teaches that during the month of Elul, the king, a metaphor for God, is not seated high upon a throne hidden behind guards and walls, but instead walks into the fields, into the ordinary world where we live, work, and struggle. This metaphor is significant because it suggests that God is not distant or unapproachable, but rather intimately present in our everyday lives. Most of the year, the king sits in the palace. That's what we expect of kings, enthroned in grand Elizabethan halls, surrounded by advisors who decide who gains entry, who's turned away. And if you seek an audience, it requires influence, privilege, someone to open the gates on your behalf. Access is limited and even out of reach. But for 1 month of the year, according to this tradition, everything changes. The king leaves the palace, comes into the open, into places where people labor and live their lives. Access is immediate. No appointments, no credentials, no gatekeepers, just the king standing right in front of you, waiting for you to speak. And it's a simple, and I'll note genderist, image, but it nonetheless offers insight into this season. The king is God, and the teaching reminds us that the divine is not always distant or silent, even though that's how it often, or I'll say usually, feels. That's the reality. In Judaism, we have this concept of God because of the idea of unity. It's so abstract. It's just so abstract. So when we speak prayers like we just did, then we sit in silence afterwards. That's really the reality. We can cry out from our struggles, and it seems that no one hears. We search, and it appears that no one responds. And the month of Elul comes along essentially to tell us that this isn't always the case. It's one of those things we may not notice. It may be paying attention, or it may not be something we can notice. But this is the month where it's easier, where nearness is more possible. So that's the message of Elul. God meets us where we are. God does not demand perfection before drawing near, does not wait until we have polished every single flaw. Instead, the story imagines God entering the field as it is, messy, dusty, saying, "Talk to me, I'm here. You don't need to be anyone other than who you are right now." And I'll note that this is close to a teaching by Abraham Joshua Heschel. Conservative Judaism loves Heschel. And Heschel essentially teaches, I'll note it's the Reform movement that saved him from the Holocaust, though. So he teaches that God is waiting for us, not in a passive sense, but in a sense of eager participation. God's waiting for us to say something, for us to do something. And Elul is the time where that is most evident. God's out in the field, not idly waiting, but actively seeking a connection with us, waiting for us to make the first move. So an analogy. A friend once told me about getting front row VIP tickets to Bob Dylan. And she described this feeling of being so close. I mean, Dylan was right there. You could see his face. Not up on the big screen. You could see his face. She wasn't lost in the crowd. She felt like a part of it. I just saw Sarah Silverman in Chicago at the beginning of the summer, and I've had such a tremendous crush on her for so long. And the entire time, a friend got us ridiculously close seats in like the 15th row or something, and the whole time I'm like, That's really her. I can actually see her face. And this is what we long for in our relationship with God and life itself. We want proximity. We want to know that we're seen, that we're not invisible in the back row of existence, but that our voice matters. So that's why Elul can be so powerful. It's also personal, this metaphor. The barriers we build around ourselves, it's not only around the palace, can begin to crack. The distractions and our pride soften. Our regrets rise closer to the surface. And there's rawness. And in that rawness, what we want is simple: to be loved, to be supported, to know that someone hears the cries of our most tender places. The so-called inner child emerges. And the Hasidic teaching answers with reassurance. The king is in the field. God is present. The universe itself leans towards compassion, mercy, and prayer. So this is also why, according to how could I put it, Jewish law, I guess it is, but it's a liturgical tradition that we say Psalm 27 daily during Elul. And I'm going to read a section of that right now. Hear my voice when I call, God. Be merciful to me and answer me. My heart says of you, this is such a great word, phrase, seek my face. Your face, God, I will seek. Do not hide your face from me. And face also means presence in the Hebrew. Seek presence. Do not hide your presence from me. Do not turn away your servant in anger. You've been my helper. Do not reject me or forsake me, God, my Savior. Though my father and mother, though humans can forsake me, God will receive me. The psalmist does not claim strength or perfection in this. Instead, the writer pleads, hear me, do not hide, do not forsake me. And these are words of someone cracked open by life, desperate not to be abandoned. And then comes, as I said, this astonishing line, though my father and mother forsake me, God will receive me. And it really names one of our deepest fears, that the people that we love don't love us unconditionally, that they're not always there. That's such a just basic, primary fear. And into that fear, the psalmist offers hope. Even if every human bond fails, God will not. God's there, no matter what, present. And even if things that are worldly unravel, at times where it's all falling apart, as I said during the prayer service, and there are times when it's all falling apart, presence remains, offering us a profound sense of security and hope in the face of these fears. And that's why the psalm is repeated every day during the month of Elul. It's not just liturgy, it's practice, something we're supposed to do. We learn to pray from vulnerability. We trust that God can be sought even in fear. And by the time the shofar sounds for Rosh Hashanah, our hearts are ready to speak before the King. And this is courage. I said this to this week, a son whose father just died. Strength, vulnerability is strength. There's courage that goes along with vulnerability. So the work of Elul is not easy. The rabbis are always asking us to do something that's nearly impossible, to peel back our defenses, stop numbing ourselves with busyness and distraction. We all know what our distractions are. Who scrolled their phone today? And look at directly who we are. And beneath the armor, we find that fragile, soft, vulnerable place. We expose ourselves. We're unguarded, even though everything around us is this whir of chaos, whether we notice the whir of chaos or not. And vulnerability is not weakness. It's strength. The strength of authenticity, of living in alignment with the most genuine parts of ourselves, of refusing to hide behind masks. And yeah, it feels dangerous, but let's go back to that Torah verse. It's not in heaven, it's not across the sea, it's right here in your mouth, in your heart. Do it. The Baal Shem Tov, you see, it's all Baal Shem Tov and Shneur Zalman Eliade, basically since I got here. Eventually I will get away from them, but when I'm reading something, it enters into my sermons. He teaches that every soul is like a vessel, like a clay vessel that's holding divine light. And the vessels, as you know, the vessels are not perfect. Clay pots are not perfect. That's the definition. And they can crack, they can break, the light spills out. And it's precisely through the cracks that the light shines into the world. Our brokenness is an opportunity. Our flaws are not barriers. They're the very openings through which God meets us, the same places where the king's there, right there in the cracks. And that's the invitation of Elul, a time when our self-protective behaviors fall away, a time when transformation comes through does not come through denial, but through courage, the courage and strength that comes through opening up. And these are the moments when we're the most ourselves, when we're the truest to the soul God has planted within us. And these are the moments when real change can happen. Not sometimes loud. We're always waiting for something big in the 10 days, right? It's something gargantuan that's going to happen. And sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes you may not even notice it. But still everything's altered. And we're living in one of those moments. The month of Elul is here, the king's in the field, and will we step out to meet God? Will we let the cracks in our vessels become channels of light? Will we bring our authentic selves, the ones beneath ego and self-protection, into this conversation with everything that's divine flowing through the world? The opportunity's here, the access is open, the word's in your mouth, the word is in your heart. Hey, let's do it. May we have the courage to speak it, may we have the courage to live it, and may we have the courage to let it change us. Shabbat Shalom.